What's up guys, welcome back to a new video. Today I'm going to show you guys how I make my high protein chicken soup. So let's get started. Here are the ingredients you're going to need to make this soup happen. So first things first, of course, you're going to need some chicken. So today I'm going to be using this pasture-raised whole young chicken that's air chilled. So we got some carrots here, we got some ginger here, garlic, and some onions. Over here, I had some celery in the freezer. So as you can see, it's still kind of frozen, which is totally fine. We got some rosemary, and this is some turmeric over here. In my other videos, typically these items are like diced up, but for this soup, I just did a rough chop of them because these are most of the ingredients that I'm going to use to stuff the chicken, so which I'll show you guys. And then last but not least, we also have some bone broth. With a young chicken, you can make your own bone broth, but I'm just going to be adding some bone broth to this to add a little bit more flavor, but not only that, also add in some more extra protein to this meal. So let's get started. All right guys, so with our chicken here, we have it all washed up, ready to go. They have this little packet thing inside of here. It basically has like the liver and the gizzards and stuff in there. So we're just gonna set that aside. And one thing I like to do before I put this into the pot is I actually like to get rid of some of this like skin in the top. It just kind of helps to get rid of some of that fat that I don't want to get into the soup. So I know fat is flavor, but I personally just don't like it to have that in my soup. So we're gonna remove all of that skin. All right guys, so the chicken, I skinned it out as best as I could. And then I also I washed it in a baking soda bath. Now we are gonna season it and stuff it with some vegetables. So we're gonna start out with some salt and just kind of do like a little light salt sprinkle here. Get through the crevices, not too much, but just enough. All right, there we go. And then gonna sprinkle it in with some pepper. All right, and then last but not least, we're gonna add in some garlic powder. There we go. Okay, now we're gonna stuff the chicken with our vegetables. So there's really no right or wrong way of doing this. I basically am gonna start out with some celery here and just stuff it in as best as I can, just like that. I actually just like freeze, so whenever I buy celery, I will buy it in bulk because I use it for a lot of different things. So I don't want it to go bad, so I literally will just freeze it. And honestly, it's the best thing to do when making soup broth is just to freeze your vegetables. So that it doesn't go to waste for the week, and you can always use it when making soup. So, all right, I stuffed it with some carrots there. Now I'm gonna go in with some onions. And this will help enhance the flavor of the broth. All right, I think I may have stuffed it a little too much, but that's totally fine. All right, there we go. Here is our pot. So now we're gonna add in our chicken to the pot. Just like that. All right, once we have our chicken into the pot, we're gonna add in our other ingredients. So we got our ginger here, and I'm just gonna place them on the bottom. We got our garlic here. Place all of that in there. And then we have our turmeric and some rosemary. And that's just gonna go in the pot. Next, we are gonna add in our bone broth. So 2 cans of this. And last but not least, we're gonna add in some filtered water. I don't measure this, really just kind of gauge where the chicken is, but as you could see, it's hit like the halfway point of our pot, so that should be good enough. And you can always add water as you go along. So we're gonna turn this thing on. It's gonna be at a, we'll keep it at in between a medium and a low for right now. And I'm gonna put the cover on and let that sit, and we'll check back in the next hour. We're 1 hour in, so let's see what this is looking like. Look at that, guys. It's looking pretty good so far. So we're gonna still continue to let this sit in there. And this time we're just gonna keep the heat more at a low rather than a medium low. So we'll check back in another hour. All right, guys, 2 hours in, and this is what it's looking like. So it looks pretty good so far. Gonna give it another hour, and then it'll be perfect. Okay, so the chicken was cooking in the pot for a good 2 hours, and I removed the chicken. And this process does take time because the chicken is right at the point where it can fall off the bone, so you want to be very careful while removing the chicken out of the pot. And then I removed the vegetables and spices and stuff like that. So now what I'm gonna do with this broth is I'm going to strain it to remove all the extra like garlic and onion pieces that I didn't get to. So we're gonna go ahead and do that now. All right, here we go. So gonna get my gloves in, and we're just gonna go ahead and pour this thing just like that. All right, I should have got a bigger pot, but that's okay. That'll work for now. There we go. And now I can go ahead and scrape off all these extra pieces here. So it looks like we got a piece of meat. And then all these are just like the rosemary and the rosemary, the ginger, the turmeric that were incorporated into the soup. Okay, and as you can see, there's still a bunch of like rosemary pieces here, and that's okay. I'm gonna leave that here. I actually like keeping that in the soup. And now I'm gonna pour this broth back into this pot here. All right, guys, so here comes a little bit the hard part. What I like to do is I actually like to debone my chicken. So I take it out of there in order to debone it. That way, because especially with young chicken, there's a lot of small bones, and honestly, I just would rather take them out so that I don't have to deal with them when I have this for lunch throughout the week. So this part is a little time consuming, but it does help so I don't have to deal with the bones while eating it. So, and it is a little hot too, so you just want to be careful. So that is what the meat is looking like. At this point, the meat should fall off the bone. And most of the meat, or most of the chicken, should be cooked. But if it isn't cooked, that's why I still have my pot going, so that I can keep it, so I could soak this chicken back into that pot to cook a little bit longer. So this is all the meat that we got from the chicken that I deboned, and these are all the bones that were left in there. Maybe one day I will make a video talking about how to make bone broth out of this. But for now, we're gonna take this chicken right here and we are gonna place it back into the bowl and just let it finish cooking. Most of it is pretty much cooked, but just for safety measures, we're gonna add it back into that broth right there. So that should take another probably 20 to 30 minutes. All right, guys, and this is it. This is the finished product of the chicken bone broth soup. So let's give it a little taste test. All right, guys, let's give this a little taste test. All right, guys, here we go. That is so good. The chicken is just super juicy and it's not dry at all, which is great. Like, even there's a piece of like chicken breast right here, and typically chicken breast is pretty dry, but look at that. It is so juicy. It's been cooking in this broth. That is so good. I love making this during the week, and I just have it with either some rice or some Japanese sweet potato. So it's a really good high protein with the chicken and as well as the bone broth. So if you're trying to get your protein in, this is the way to go. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.